There we go, recording in progress. So the theme tonight is kind of focusing on the invitational concept and element of dance, focused on the inclusion and communal nature of various dances. And we have several to look at. We'll look at some videos of those, but we'll notice some things. So this song from Orleans, Dance With Me, is kind of that kind of invitation. And we'll see not only an invitation, a social invitation, but maybe even a Lenten invitation from God to join the dance that God is engaged in and moving in and wants us to join. Well, dance with me. Some biblical examples of this side of worship, of dancing, of invitation and inclusion, communal dance. Miriam is that famous dancer in the Bible, Exodus 15. She's leading the dance, but she's leading it. And she leads in that chapter of Exodus. All the women are dancing. It's not that she's doing a show, a presentation, but there's no passive observers. It's a group kind of dance. And then in Job 21, he's talking about kind of retribution of suffering. And he talks about a time when the children will dance. And the word there means to skip about or to bounce. Remember that word, bounce. Okay, you got it, Carol? Bounce. But the word is rakad in Hebrew, and that bouncing is something that is not only bouncing, but it's contagious. Okay, think of Tigger bouncing, and you just kind of start bouncing with Tigger, right? Can't resist. It's just contagious, a contagious kind of bouncing. And the word for that is translated dance in English a lot of times. And then another Hebrew word for dance is makawel. And that means to dance in a company or in a group. Okay, so remember that word. Carol's got contagious. Kathy, you got company.
Contagious.
Contagious, yes.
Carol did not have contagious. Bounce.
Bounce. Okay. Bounce. So we'll spread this out. Messing you up. I see it now. I use my eyes for an excuse. Can't see that way. Eye problem. So it's bounce, contagious, and company. Remember those words. Right? We'll see. What I want you to do is recall those words when we watch the dances and see if they kind of come out. And those three words are kind of ideas and concepts in the different Hebrew words for dancing, right? Here's one more, Diane. Gaio. And this means to go in circles.
Gaio.
Just remember circles.
Okay.
That's
circles.
your word. All the bounce we got start with C. So this is circles. And this is Psalm 149, 1-3, talking about dance. And actually we're going to use this. This psalm is going to be for session 5. 140 what? 9. Thank you. Sing to the Lord a new song, sing God's praise in the assembly of the faithful. Let Israel celebrate its maker. Let Zion's children rejoice in their king. Let them praise God's name with dance. Let them sing God's praise with the drum and lyre. And the word there, dance, means to go in a circle. Got it? Circle. And so those are the Hebrew words. And I didn't look up the words exactly to see which of the about a half dozen different Hebrew words are translated as dance in the Old Testament. But just from this week's Psalms, morning Psalms, Psalm 65 talks about this is from the Message, visit the earth, invite her to join the dance. So there's an invitation for even nature to begin to join the dance. And then Psalm 72, enter God's circle of blessing. That's your word, right? Circle. So the circle of blessing is something that's seen over and over in Scripture, in the Psalms particularly, but it's also kind of a common Jewish concept of joining the circle, of inclusion, stepping into the circle, the huddle. Okay. All right. So that's the biblical examples of inclusion, of dancing in a company, and it being a contagious, bouncing kind of thing. So I was reading some religious and cultural traditions, and we'll get into the cultural dance here. But I was reading an article about a mosaic that's inlaid in the floor of a synagogue. It's actually in St. Louis, and I'm going to try to plan a visit there when I get back to St. Louis with some extra time. But it's this huge mosaic that's in the floor, as I understand it, of this synagogue. And basically, it's based on the Jewish liturgical year, but it has other things kind of thrown into it. So the Jewish liturgical year progresses not in isolation, but along a series of interconnecting routes. Think of a web more than linear year. It drawing itself into dialogue with other traditions. Moments of anguish come to the surface in this journey, but there's also a recurring motif of playfulness. Sometimes the Hebrew text is just that, while at other times it turns out to be English in disguise. And this is talking about describing the mosaic, or an emulation of other cultures. And biblical heroines find their doubles in Muslim women clad in hijab, or Indian brides arrayed in henna. And here's the kicker of the description, is why I included this. I don't know, I wasn't really reading this. I don't know why I was reading it. Who knows? You know how Google is. My Jewish life as a central figure reminds us is a dance through time and space. Okay? Jewish life is a dance through time and space with steps learned along the way, sometimes from unlikely teachers. So you think about this liturgical year, like ours might go from Advent through Epiphany and into Lent and Easter and Pentecost, but weaving in all kinds. We have other stories in this. We have the Passover that's woven into the Holy Week. We have various stories of Hebrew, of Old Testament stories woven into our liturgical year as well. So this is kind of mosaic of all of that they bring in, not only Christian and Hebrew, but they bring in Muslim traditions and Indian traditions and other things. So that's all it. But they see it, explain it as a dance through space and time. So I thought that was close enough for a fit. So I'm not sure we think about time as a dance, but it goes back to that metaphor, Jane, of movement and describing the movement as a dance. So then we move on to some other cultural dance, Native American dance. We talked about the hoop dance already. We saw some images of that with Native Americans dancing with all the hoops. And remember that the hoops began to signify the earth and things on the earth, the trees and animals, and they make themselves look like different kinds of animals with all these hoops, and it goes wild with this hoop dance. But remember how this hoop dance originated and began to spread among the tribes. One kid who was weird, right? Different. And he didn't do he wasn't into the hunting and being the warrior, but he liked to watch the animals and began to tell the story that the animals were telling, and repeat that story and repeat the scenes of nature with his hoops. And we ended that description by saying that his dance became so popular that every village and every tribe wanted to learn the dance. It was what? Whose word was that?
Mine's contagious.
Contagious. You couldn't, it's like it became a faddish dance, traveling through all of the tribes of Native America. Okay, everybody wanted to learn. It was a fad. Everybody wanted to do the hoop dance. They're probably watching it on YouTube and TikTok, and so that's the way it all spread. But then we're going to see tonight the round dance. Okay, whose word's going to be involved in that, you think?
Circle.
Circle, maybe. We scheduled that one for Pi Day. So we'll have, but watch and see if anybody else's code words are included here. I'm going to watch just a little bit of the, can't hear it, that's okay. You can watch the video.
We're gonna try something.
Okay. Bannock Powwow round dance.
Not one of the options.
Not what I've got.
You have any Native American up there?
Island dance?
No.
You want me to try to share it from my computer?
No, I don't
Okay.
think I have it. The Malign woman.
No. Can't see.
Powwow.
Yeah.
He didn't give me the order.
Shame on him.
All right, we get the idea.
Did you change it over to, okay,
We get
now put it back. Hang on, Bob.
Okay.
Okay, we get the idea of that. It's a round dance, so you got the circle. Anybody else see anything that
They were bouncing.
they were-
Did you guys hear the video?
We see it, we can't hear. We couldn't hear the first song either, the song.
Okay,
Yeah, I was playing it on my own screen just so I could see it.
okay. So yeah, this was kind of indistinguishable Native American chanting. While it's interesting to hear that, you don't know what they're saying. Yeah, they were bouncing, they were going in the circle. And so the thing about the round dance is it began, a round dance tradition comes from the Cree Indians, and it tells a tale of a woman who stayed with her beloved mother all throughout her life. When her mother died, the daughter was beset with such grief that she visited her mother's spirit to help calm her sorrow. She was visited by her mother's spirit to help calm her sorrow. The mother introduced the idea of the circle dance, where all the people and ancestors will come together, surround each other with support and love for her and thus her grief. Okay. So it was kind of a consoling kind of thing that they would all gather around her to offer support. Now, the round dance can be performed under the Aurora or Borealis. There we go. And when it is especially auspicious. This was a representation of the original story in which the Mother Spirit revealed all the ancestors would come and dance with living people in their community. So for a while, round dances did not happen very frequently. The ancestral meanings of them disappeared or simply morphed into a lighter focus on community and togetherness. Modern variations today show they are intended as upbeat events that encourage people to join in, become part of the circle that signifies everyone being equal and together as an important part of the group. Okay? That's kind of an example, a pretty vivid example of the inclusion and circling together for community and support. Okay? But it's not just the Native American or this African dance. Watch mostly here just the video. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. And again, the sound is
See if we can figure that out.
is interesting, but not completely necessary. Watch for your words. If you can see this, watch for your words.
Mike, what was your word?
Company.
I couldn't remember your word.
Company or
Community. Think
community?
of it.
Community.
Company. I think company was the
Company
word.
is a word.
Yeah, the synonym is community.
Try that.
Staying away.
We're gonna,
Try it again here.
Now, what am I doing?
We're doing the African dance.
can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
I hear you.
Give,
Island
give a thumbs up if you hear this music.
and the Milan women, that's all I've got. And we're trying. to
Yeah,
get
do the Malayan women. That's African.
Can you hear anything?
No.
No.
No,
Just let them watch it.
Let's figure this out.
He's on a mission now.
is it going through like a headset instead of coming out?
Go ahead and put that back on saying on this microphone, I guess, is the only thing.
Where the controls went.
Click on the screen over here. Now just go. There. Do the screen sharing controls and see if something comes up. There we go. Now change the microphone to,
This.
yeah. Got anything?
It's a little bit, but it's real choppy.
We don't have anything.
We don't have any. We can see the picture, but we can't hear anything.
We can't understand what you're saying. Images.
Oh, well, we give up.
Okay, whose words were in there?
Put the microphone back.
So whose words were in the African? They were bouncing.
They were in a circle.
They were in a circle.
They were in company.
They were. Looked like the whole community and, yeah.
I would have started doing it, so I think it's contagious.
We at least started doing that.
Yeah, I would have been like, yeah, tried.
So can't say where it started. You know, just something in human nature that something about dance had all these elements and different Hebrew words, okay, different African dances. The key of a lot of African dances transitions from one social state to another. A child is welcomed into the community at his naming ceremony. An adolescent is initiated into the responsibility of adulthood. A woman moves from her paternal home to join her father's family. An elder receives recognition for service in the form of a title. The individual is not left alone. There's the whole idea of this dance that accompanies all of these milestones and mile markers in the human development. The individual is not left alone to bear the emotions that accompany critical change. As members of the community carry him. That sound familiar? Maria? Carry the children. Yeah. As the community carry him and his family through the crisis with appropriate ceremonies, containing emotions of the moment in music, song, and dance. So togetherness. So could we say here, just kind of insert here that maybe some of the detriment of not dancing is a loss of community, not feeling together. Remember, even when we 3 years ago, this is the anniversary of that quarantine, of how we missed even being able to sit up and sit down and stand up together. You know, it's not much of a dance. Yeah, there's no beat to it really, but there's movement together.
Well, there was such a regression throughout the pandemic, and part of that was the isolation from community and
we're maybe less inclined to do it now.
yeah.
But that was a part of what was missing. The connection. All right. I don't think this one says anything, but it's got some music, but it's familiar enough that you can put your own tunes in here. Ballroom Dancing. You ever do that? There may not even be any sound to this one.
No sound to this one.
Doing everything together. Well, so say it's kind of like the first form of line dancing, because they're doing all the same stuff.
More than you know, I'll tell you the history of this.
Just slow down, square dance.
Not a waltz.
No.
That's good.
They sure do all know it.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be community because you couldn't stay together like that if it wasn't, and stay on track. Kathy said it was just seemed like an original form of line dancing. Well, there was a time as I understood it, I don't know if I have it in my notes or not, but I read it about ballroom dancing, that to begin with, it was a line dance, and they all had to face the throne, face the royal, whichever direction the throne was. They could only dance that way. They had to front the throne. So it was a straight line, and it was later kind of, development in the dance that allowed them to turn their backs on the throne. That was sacrilege and wild dancing, to turn their backs on the crown or the throne. So it was originally a straight line. But think about ballroom dancing. It was done at what was called the ball.
Oh,
It was done at the ball, which was a social community gathering event. And when you go to these events, you dance as ballroom dancing because it was a communal kind of thing. So they're experiencing this. Where am I? Social dancing originally practiced here in the United States. Ballroom dances developed from the formal event called a ball, a great way to interact socially with people. So we're right in there with the same kind of cultural development. It's not, unique to Native Americans or African cultures or Jewish cultures. We identify with that too. Maybe a different style of dancing, but it's got what in common? A lot of the bouncing, circles,
Yeah.
Company.
company, staying together. Yeah, staying together. All right. I think that's about all I got to say about that. Yeah, the polka, the waltz, these were components of social events known as assemblies or balls. There's certain etiquette, protocol, expectations, and everybody knew that dance step, whatever that was they were doing. Some structure to it, organized so that everybody would know what to do next and feel included. If you're moving together, you're feeling together, you're bonding together. Our virtual viewers have anything to add to ballroom dancing?
Mel couldn't do it.
No.
Shame on you.
He threw you under the bus, Mel. I've seen him polka.
Yeah, he can polka.
That counts.
I can't.
It was hard enough to try to learn a few steps of a waltz with Katie for her quinceanera. Not my thing. All right, now you can do the Aboriginal Tory Straight Islander dance. What do you think about that one?
Bounced, I guess.
Very contagious.
It was what?
Contagious, because you just want to bounce with it.
Yeah, this one was thrown in, some of the notes in the reading talked about it being not just a handful of dance specialists, but everybody participating. It's not exclusive. Rather, dance was used deliberately as a way of bringing people together in that culture. Okay?
It looked like it was a story. They were telling a story too.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that's next week's topic.
Oh,
Dances that tell the story. That's another element in dance of stories. So there'll be some, you could probably think in your mind of some dances that tell stories. We'll try to find some of those next week. Trying to get Anita and Paul Wida. They just got back from Hawaii. She had luau dancing lessons while she was there. And I'm not getting very far in talking her into a demonstration. See. So
They lived over there for a couple of years.
yeah, okay. They should be what, you gonna say something?
No,
You gonna dance?
no.
No. Okay. All right. So you see how it kind of is a thread through every culture in their own maybe steps, in their own maybe sounds, but these elements all come out of being part of dance. Seems like everybody kind of is saying, dance with me. I want to be your partner. Can't you see? And just think of the inclusion of that. Think about the round dance that came as a means of supporting those who have lost grief, and how that it started out as being joined with all the ancestors, not just the community, and circling around one another for support. Night is calling, I'm falling, dance with me. Well, to conclude this, we'll talk about who all this invitation comes from. It comes within every culture to all the people in the community, right? So, in conclusion, we're going to talk about, and this may sound familiar, we covered this. So if you remember it, you can finish us off here. In 2017, we did Going with the Flow. It's a very similar topic, but it was a Lenten study on the Trinity. And one of the main sources we used for that was Richard Rohr's book called The Divine Dance. Okay, The Divine Dance. And from early on, he explains that title as he's talking about the Trinity. The very mystical Cappadocian fathers of the 4th century in Eastern Turkey eventually developed some highly sophisticated thinking on what we soon would come to call the Trinity. It took 3 centuries of reflection on the Gospels to have the courage to say it, but they finally land on this. Whatever is going on, God is in a flow. Thinking about the Trinity, whatever's going on in the Trinity, God is in a flow of radical relatedness, a perfect communion between 3. They decided to call it a circle dance of love. And thinking about how the Trinity relates, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, how they all relate together. It's relational. They come together and they're moving together, and they called it a circle dance of love. And get this, they decided in Turkey in 4th century, they've been reading the Gospels for 400 years. And this is the best way they can explain what the Trinity is. And they say God is not just a dancer, God is the dance itself. Okay? The ancient Greek fathers depict the Trinity as a round dance. And an infinite current of love streams without ceasing, to and fro, to and fro, to and fro, gliding from the Father to the Son and back to the Father in one timeless happening. Maybe even bouncing, Carol. Maybe a bouncing thing. But that's how they describe it. Okay. And then we're going to look at a painting. There's no sound on this, it's just an image. So the Cappadocian fathers describe the Trinity as a circle dance of love. And then this painting is called The Hospitality of Abraham. Okay, it's a magnificent icon. And it was painted by Andrei Rublev. Okay, and it's called The Hospitality of Abraham. And this is the three visitors that paid Abraham a visit at his tent door. And he offered them hospitality, had a calf killed to give them something to eat. And in their conversation and in the hospitality they received from Abraham, they decided that they could not withhold their plans from Abraham, being a faithful servant and generous host. So they shared with Abraham the news of the judgment that was going to be on Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, so they told him about the punishment that's coming, and Abraham bargains for them. Ends up saving only his nephew's life and his family a lot. So that is the hospitality of Abraham, and these three figures that were painted by Rublev depict the Trinity. All right, Danette, do your thing. Notice this little square right there. She's good at that. This little square right there is always a puzzle to art critics and art historians. They investigated it and found out that that rectangle had a residue on it. It was unlike the rest of the painting. And through analysis and testing, it turned out that it was glue. It had a residue of glue. So something was glued there, either originally in the masterpiece or sometime thereafter. What do you think might have been glued there? Remember from 2017? Who remembers what was glued there? No? Looks like a keyhole, but it's flat with this glue. They think through not only looking at the art, but looking at the theology of the Trinity, they think there was a mirror there. So when you look at the mirror, you see yourself. There's room at the table, and you see your own image when you look at the Trinity. And you're being invited into this circle dance of love. And so basically, this might be our Lenten call from God. Dance with me. I want to be your partner. Don't you see? The music is just starting, night is calling, and I'm falling. Dance with me. We're all being called into the circle dance with the Trinity. Ray Buckley said, this is from the opening part of his quote that we've been kind of using as a theme quote. The gospel is precisely about dance. It's precisely about changing the concept of who can dance. It is about the right to dance. And the invitation to dance is to all of us to dance and move with the moving of the Spirit. Be included in that circle, to bounce with joy, to be part of the community, encircled in love. So that's tonight's lesson. Everybody's heads bouncing. I don't know. I thought that was cool in 2017, and it seemed to certainly fit. And whether it's glue or not, or there's a mirror there or not, but it's interesting. The divine circle dance is not a closed circle. All are invited to dance. Any questions, comments about the dances we saw, or where this is going?
I just want to dance.
I just think about like all the like cultural dances and how, you know, the African dance, the Native American dance, but also, you know, you see that cultures, you see, you know, Mexican dancers, or you see Irish dancers, or the Greek festival, there's Greek dancers, and
There's always a.
yeah, they're just very culturally specific. But you know, I remember being a kid you know, going to like the German Fest and doing the
Polka.
polka and
Baden.
doing all of that, you know. Yeah, going to the German Fest in Baden Fest. You ever go to the Baden Fest?
Badenfest, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, but I wonder how much like just we lose that. We've lost that European like, you know, immigrants, and we've lost that through the years. I don't see that as strong.
One thing you do see, and it's kind of just innate, is all of the guys that we work with in the disabilities, they love to dance.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
it's
No
just,
inhibitions.
Yeah,
there's
they
no
can still
inhibitions,
have
they
to
are. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a Special Olympics event without having to dance. You don't have a dance, they don't want to come.
Yeah.
You know, they love to dance, and it's just who they are, and it's part of them.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But you think about babies when they start, you know, dancing and twirling around and everybody encourages them and gets up and dances with
If
them.
you've ever been to a wedding reception,
Yeah.
who's out on the floor? The little kids.
Yeah.
We went to
Having a ball.
we went to a wedding once, Justin and I did, and it was a young woman who grew up down the street from us, and she married a Samoan man. And they had spent a year with her and her bridesmaids and the groomsmen learning dances. And they performed probably for the first hour at least of the reception. She danced for her groom, the bridesmaids danced, the groomsmen danced, they danced together. I mean,
Yeah.
it was, I can't imagine having to learn all that
Yeah.
and then do that
Mhm.
like they did. It was amazing.
Mhm.
You talk about bouncing, I just think of my grandson, because that's all he does.
Yeah.
He's done it since he was born.
Yeah.
He just bounce, 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 bounce.
Diane, you missed last week on some of the prohibitions
Mhm.
against dancing. A lot of it was, it came, you know, went through, we talked about it even this afternoon or yesterday, that biblical examples of dance were often associated, guilt by association with, you know, dancing before an idol or dancing naked or dancing you know, Vashti not wanting to dance because everybody was drunk, and Salome being rewarded for her dance with the head of John the Baptist. All the way from that to more philosophical prohibitions of body being evil and don't concentrate, focus on it, and colonialism, where Puritanism, I think that's a big strain for a big emphasis for English, European, the Puritan movement choked the dance out of us.
They didn't seem to be very happy either.
They didn't seem to be happy.
So you had Salem witch trials.
Exactly, they took their aggressions out on others.
Yeah, it's just, well, hang your harps on a tree, you don't sing happy Zion songs in Babylon. Before you know it, you want to smash some babies' heads on the rocks. Progression of that song, it leads to those kinds of things. But probably before you get there, yeah, it develops a root of bitterness, and it develops just an inhibition to move. You can't shut part of it off. Not going to dance, you begin to shut all of the movement of the spirit off.
And you're not moving together, you're fighting
Not moving
against,
together.
yeah.
That's all I got for tonight. Next week, the story, you know what I'm calling next week, Linda, on the dance element of the story element of dance. You're gonna like this: body language. Body language. Hopefully you can get the clip for the theme song of that. You'll love it. All right.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Good night, all.
Good night. Thanks.
Bounce on home.